We're ready to get chatty because the Hemlock Vale box is out, and we are talking about the new parlay-focused investigator and the rogue cards. This is Optimal Play. I'm Brandon.
I'm Kyle.
And Kyle, the Hemlock Vale is out.
Sure is.
Hey, which you got for me, both boxes, as a birthday gift. So thank you. You're welcome. Yeah.
I'm a great friend. What
can
I say?
You are. What can you say?
That's all you can say. That's all he's legally allowed to say after our disclosure.
We may be a little bit rusty at doing this because it's been like 15, 16 months since new Arkham player cards came out, but we're here to take our first look at them. We previewed some if you haven't seen those videos, and we've maybe come across some others previews and stuff. I know I have, but for the most part, you're going to get our hottest first look takes.
The hottest of them.
The hottest, yeah. And I'm not afraid of some hot takes. I know, Drawn to the Flame, the podcast, for example, great podcast, you should check it out. They rate cards on a scale of, excellent to interesting.
Interesting?
Yeah. No, I'm not afraid to call cards bad.
Oh, no, you're not.
Card games have bad cards. There's no reason to hide that fact.
They do.
Yeah.
I will try to counter all your bad reviews with the niche cases where this would be slightly useful.
Great. Sounds good. That is a really good, as Steven and I have had to pointedly dial that back in the past, that is a good way for these videos to turn out 2 hours long, so...
Fair.
Be careful with that.
We'll try to keep it at an hour.
Yeah. And the way we'll be keeping it to about an hour is, this is the first of 5 videos that we're going to do about the Hemlock Vale player card boxes. Steven might be in some of them, it might not always be us two, but one per class. And rather than have a separate video for neutral and basic cards, we're going to tuck a couple of them at the end of each class, as we see fit. It's basically the plan, yeah? Mm-hmm. I think the last thing to say before we introduce Alessandra is, hey, like the video.
Do it.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel too. It's the only way to support Optimal Play, and it is how you'll know when the next 4 videos come out. Cheers.
Cheers. Let's talk about some cards.
It does feel like we should be drinking out of a flask for Rogue, but what are you going to do?
We weren't prepared.
Didn't think that through. Nope. Okay, so let's meet Alessandra Zorzi, the Countess. She has 3 willpower, 4 intellect, 2 combat, and 4 agility. She's a drifter and a socialite.
Ooh.
Yeah, so get your socialite deck ready.
I like that drifter and socialite feel like they should be kind of not in the same card.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think we've seen other drifters. Have we? Let's
I think Ashcan is the drifter.
Is Jenny a socialite?
I think so.
It feels like she probably
probably.
is. Yeah. Anyway, so Alessandra may take an additional action during her turn, which can only be used to parlay. And then her Elder Sign effect is a +2, and if you succeed, choose a non-elite enemy at your location or a revealed connecting location, automatically evade that enemy. And she loves a good party.
Who don't?
And she has 7 health and 7 sanity, which is good. I like it. I like the well-rounded stats.
Balanced, yeah. That's nice.
I think that when a stat is 9, or when one of those skills is 9, what am I saying? Health or sanity is 9.
Yeah.
I guess there's not a collective word for those, is there?
When a hit point value.
I feel like the 9 is never useful, and then the 5 is just a major weakness
agreed.
that you have to play around. Sevens I like. Okay, so her deck size is 30. Mm-hmm. She can play all rogue cards, all cards with parlay, level 0 to 5.
Whoa. And
all neutral cards. So everything she can access level 0 to 5, rogue, parlay, and neutral.
That's cool.
And then her deck building has 30 cards, 3 copies of her signature card, Beguile. I assume this is her weakness, Zamakona?
Sounds like a weakness.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? And a random basic weakness. All right, I'm going to introduce us to her story a little bit here, too. Alessandra's life of carefree luxury enables her to hop from a stately gala in New York City to a banquet with the Maharaja of India with ease. The Countess has sampled every dish, drink, and dame from Marrakesh to Chicago. The regal title is just an act, however. Behind the scenes, Alessandra uses her cover to pilfer from art galleries, banks, and the hearts and pocketbooks of the rich and frivolous.
Whoa.
That's a good phrase, the rich and frivolous.
Yeah.
Her silver tongue has gotten her into and out of plenty of trouble. A new job with the shadowy Zamakona brought Alessandra to Arkham, Massachusetts, where the Countess learned that more lurks beyond the suggestible rich and frivolous excess than she previously thought.
Okay, so she's like Aladdin. She's like Prince Ali, but like, steal stuff too.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Let's go with that. Yeah, so she seems really about as basic an investigator as they come.
Yeah.
Like, this is the most straightforward way that the game does an investigator that ties into a thing is you get one additional action that can be used for that thing.
For that thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for more parlay cards, or rather to see parlay cards in a deck. Because that didn't exist before now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the case. I don't know if I would say that I'm excited for more parlay cards. Like, parlay just means does not take an opportunity attack.
I mean,
right?
It should have the flavor of talking to individuals or...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's a fun flavor, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Talking your way through in and out of jams as she does.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so she gets 3 copies of her signature card. What is it?
It is Beguile, which is a 2-cost event with a wild icon. It's trick traded, her deck only, fast play during your turn, attach Beguile to a non-elite enemy at your location, and then it has a action parlay. Either move the attached enemy to a revealed connecting location, or perform a basic investigate or evade action at its location. If you fail a skill test while resolving this ability, discard Beguile. You may activate this ability from any location. Interesting. So it seems like, she has to make sure that her wiles are still there, so otherwise they fall out of her spell.
Yeah, interesting. So...
Weird.
That's funny. So if you fail a skill test while resolving this ability, but one of the options is just to move the attached enemy. Mm-hmm. So that is something you can do with no risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or perform a basic investigate or evade action at its location. That's weird. Okay, yeah. So you can take Beguile can be on an enemy. You can use this action to evade a different enemy at the same location as the Beguiled, or to evade the Beguiled enemy itself, right? Because it counts itself.
It's pretty wild because you could be at consider this to be at a separate location, and it doesn't even say it's once per turn, does it?
It doesn't.
So you could,
kind of shockingly,
you could if there was 2 enemies, one of them is Beguiled at a location, you could at a separate location use the Beguiled enemy's location to evade the non-Beguiled enemy, and then push the Beguiled enemy one away so that it hunts back into that same location. You can lock down 2 enemies with this little trick.
Yeah, I think you'll find yourself feeling strained on actions if you actually
But I mean, that's
lean too hard into this.
One action a turn.
Right. Oh, and that's right.
Free action.
This action can be your free action for a turn. Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty dang good.
Good point. This is cool.
It's great.
It's what is why am I blanking on the customizable Mystic card that took over an enemy?
Power Ward, I think?
Yeah, Power Word, yeah. So this is kind of like that, but
it does feel like that.
More straightforward.
Maybe that's why Power Word got a taboo. It's
maybe so.
We don't want to step on Beguile's toes too much.
Rain on Alessandra's parade, yeah. That's really cool. What's not so cool is her weakness, Zamakona.
Tell me about it.
He is a 3/3/3 enemy who is a humanoid and a criminal and is elusive. He spawns at the nearest empty location if able.
Okay.
And then Alessandra cannot parlay with Zamakona. That's a handful. And I even skipped her last name. Alessandra Zorzi cannot parlay with Zamakona. That's just, I feel like that's a tongue twister. Force. The first time Alessandra parlays each round, place a doom on Zamakona. Wow. And if he attacks, he deals 1 damage.
And I don't want to just derail this whole conversation, but what the hell does elusive mean?
I forgot that there's a new enemy keyword in this box. I didn't really think I would need to brush up on what this enemy keyword does for the player card reviews.
Me neither.
Elusive means...
I can speculate.
I don't think I know what elusive means.
It's not what's the one that doesn't engage? What's that keyword?
That's aloof.
Aloof.
It's not aloof.
It's not aloof.
It's not alert, which
is
it punishes you for failing to evade it.
Well, we got stumped. Sorry.
Thanks a lot, designers, for giving us a new keyword in the
on our hit shot.
Yeah.
Seems like elusive is either really good or really bad. I can't quite place it yet. I think I need to play with it and better understand the rule, and then I'll get back to you on what my review is.
That's a really good assessment of this card.
Thank you.
Kyle. Yeah, that's funny. I hope that this isn't like a thing. I hope there's not like 3 cards in here that grant elusive to an enemy or something. In which case, we may have to look it up. But you know what? We'll by next video we'll have.
In the Mystic video, we'll talk about the rogue card elusive.
Right.
Oh man.
Okay, so I have a feeling that this big pile of rogue cards, a lot of them may not matter that they're rogue cards because Alessandra's probably gonna fill her deck with a lot of parlay cards that she can take anyway. So I almost hope that these are not a lot of parlay cards. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know.
You're saying you want her to reach across classes more.
Yeah, I'm saying that she has access to a lot of stuff already, and based on previews, even more in this box. And so I kind of hope that the rogue cards are not all just like parlay, that they do some other interesting things.
Definitely. Okay, I have a legitimate guess. It's like Hunter, except it moves away from the nearest investigator. That is my guess for what elusive is.
And that ties right in with the feeling of spawning at the nearest empty location.
Yeah.
That seems...
Yeah, that feels right.
It does feel right.
That's probably what the keyword means.
You heard it here first. That's what elusive maybe does. All right. Why don't you give us the first rogue card, Kyle?
I would love to. This is a unique ally, Bianca Dikatz. Singing Your Song is her subtitle.
I think it's like Die
Katz.
It's German.
Oh, I don't do that.
Yeah.
She is a 2-cost asset with a agility icon, ally, criminal, and socialite traded. So they friends.
More socialites.
Yeah. Limit 1 per deck. Uses 10 resources. Whoa. Action and 2 health and 1 sanity. Action, exhaust Bianca Dikatz. It's like the Kit Kat Club, right? Cabaret.
Yeah.
All right, parlay. So it's another parlay. Move X resources from Bianca to your resource pool. X cannot be more than 5. Test agility X. If you fail, remember you owe Bianca that many resources, X resources. Then search your bonded cards for the Bianca Dikatz enemy and spawn her at your location. Excuse me. Remove this card from the game. Whoa. That escalates very quickly.
So she has 10 resources that you can take in as few as 2 actions if you want to take a big agility test each time.
Yeah.
But if you fail, I guess like she becomes an enemy.
Yeah, immediately becomes it. Like usually, I feel like when the bonded cards have an enemy, there's like a little bit more of like a wait and see if she's going to become an enemy. No, if you cannot pay, like if you don't write her a check for the cash she's loaning you that moment, she is coming at you hard.
Well, before I go on a tangent, why don't you read us the weakness?
I would love to. The same name, but she's weakness subtitle this time. 3/3/3 fight, health, agility, respectively, or evade. Humanoid, criminal, socialite. Okay, similar.
Just not an ally
anymore.
anymore.
Not an ally. Bonded to her. She's a hunter with prey bearer only.
Okay.
Action. If you owe Bianca X resources, spend X resources, parlay, add Bianca Dikatz to the victory display.
Okay.
Forced, when Bianca Dikatz leaves play, except for the above ability, shuffle her into your deck. So even if you decide to kill her or get rid of her in a different way other than paying her off, she will show up again, that scenario.
So what's happening, and I guess she's your friend, she's an ally, but what's happening is you're robbing her, right? You're like pickpocketing her.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty funny that she's just like, fine if you just give her back the money that she caught you stealing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is exactly what's happening. You're pickpocketing her.
And do you get those? So you get those resources regardless of whether you fail?
Yeah.
You just owe them back. That seems like...
but she's a 2-cost ally, so she's not free.
Yeah, that just seems like a pretty minor punishment. To essentially, it's like, okay, you screwed this up, you have to spend an action and to undo it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense though, because you're spending an action to get the money, and then you have to pay an action immediately after to give back the money. It's two actions for no gain.
Right.
But yeah, you're kind of right. Like, I feel like if you're a relatively fighty rogue or someone that can deal with the enemies, you maybe try to hit the first test at like a 3 to 5 resource value, and then the second test you just like 5, I'm gonna bomb it, and I'm just gonna kill her or something like that.
Or beguile her and send her off to get you clues.
Exactly.
Yeah, so she could be your friend. She can turn on you. You can
get her under your charm.
Seduce her back.
I love this. Is she a
awesome.
unique? Like, she's just a one of, and
yeah, I think it says limit 1 per deck, right? And there's just one copy in the box. Yeah. The tangent I was talking about was this is the first time in a few cycles that we've had bonded cards.
Yeah.
Which is my single favorite thing that Arkham has ever done.
Yeah, no, same.
So I'm very excited to see that. I don't know if it's kind of if there's a lot of it in this cycle, or if it's becoming like, because this is the first box led by new designers.
Yeah.
Whether it's more of an evergreen thing that they'll be using here and there all the time, which I'd be all for, because I think that the design space is huge for bonded cards, and it's so different from what I've done in most card games that.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So
and especially like the normal bonded. This is obviously a very unique bonded, but it's usually like you get 1 or 2 of them out, and then you get a new assortment of cards shuffled into your deck, into your hand. Like, it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it likely this card's not great. Like, to kind of safely get those resources, you're paying 2 and an action to play her, and then if you want to play it safe and not have to put a bunch of icons in your test or something, and maybe take those resources 3 or 4 at a time, you're spending another 3 actions on that.
Yeah, the thing with Alessandra, which I hope I don't continue to say, but I feel like good in Alessandra, kind of trash in everyone else.
Because this could be her bonus action.
Exactly.
I have a feeling, though, that even that isn't going to be enough. Once we look at a lot of parlay cards, we're like, but you only get 1 bonus action, so for the rest of the parlays you want to do that turn, it costs you the action.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how many asset parlays we have, because that's the more rare one.
Yeah, we did preview one. One of our preview cards was one, so I know there's at least 1 more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we get on with our day?
And hey, here's yet another. Blackmail file. This is a 2-cost asset that's an item, a tome, and is illicit. And it doesn't take up any slots. And then, as an action, choose a non-elite enemy at your location and parlay. Test Willpower X, where X is that enemy's printed health value. If you succeed, that enemy disengages from each investigator and gains aloof until the end of the round. So it's a fancy way to evade with willpower and a parlay.
It's interesting.
And she, for a rogue, she has high willpower at 3. Alessandra. Although this obviously does not have to be an Alessandra card.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we should mention at this point and not forget is that we do have Fine Clothes that probably is auto-included in her deck, right? That's her other signature.
Yeah.
Where, if you're not familiar, it's reduces the difficulty of each parlay that the investigator performs by 2, which is significant when you're talking about turning this, if it's a 2 health or less enemy, you're turning that to a 0, so it's an auto pass, besides for auto fail.
And man, there was so as of when we're recording it, there was a new taboo list update, a new FAQ this week.
Yeah.
Right along with the release of the box. And I was honestly hoping that they tabooed Fine Clothes, because I kind of hate that this honestly kind of boring neutral card that takes up a slot is just going to be like a mandatory card.
Mandatory. Yeah, it's maybe best signature in her deck.
Yeah, and since they didn't taboo it, what that should mean is that they balanced around it, which then makes it even more mandatory, right?
Yeah.
And makes the cards weak without it in a way that is not how I would have handled it.
Yeah.
When she was previewed, I was chatting about this like on Discord, and what I wish they had done. They didn't need, I think, an elegant way to not taboo Fine Clothes, but would be for, instead of this beguile stuff, for her signature card to be a really good body slot card.
Interesting.
And I don't think there's even a way to wear 2 body slots, right? There's no charisma for body.
So there's no obese card where you take up 2 body slots.
So it would have to be pretty powerful to take that slot from Fine Clothes, but it would sort of give you almost like permission to not put Fine Clothes in your deck.
Yeah. But I feel like you're building her wrong if you don't, because there's no competitor.
Yeah.
I agree. I think this is fine. Daisy could take this. I mean, she can't buy natural. Like, she could versatile this.
Oh, yeah. This is not worth versatilizing for. No. Yeah, it's a weird thing, because it evades using willpower, and it's against health value. So it really just completely changes the math for evading enemies this way.
I feel like it's bad for her. Honestly,
it doesn't stand out as great to me. No. It doesn't work on elites.
Rogues can evade because they're good at evading.
Yeah. All right, what do we got next?
We have a new weapon asset, the British Bulldog, 3-cost asset.
Hey, it's our first non-parlay card.
Hooray! We did it.
This gun is not a parlay gun.
No, it doesn't talk. It's not like a Pistol Pete.
I mean, I guess you could have a gun that is primarily for threatening and have that be parlay focused, but
actually, that'd be a hilarious design. It's like a prop gun.
Yeah, water.
Yeah,
realistic looking water.
Realistic.
Pistol,
yeah. That's so funny. All right, so the British Bulldog is not a prop gun. It seems like it could actually kill someone. It is a item, weapon, fire alarm, illicit.
Did you say fire alarm?
I was wondering if I had. Uses 3 ammo. As an action, spend 1 ammo to fight using your agility instead, and you may use your agility instead of your combat for the attack. The attack does +1 damage, so pretty standard gun feels, except for the agility. As a reaction, after you fail a skill test while parlaying with an enemy, put British Bulldog into play from your hand. Well, you said it too soon. There is some parlay-ness to this.
That's cool.
So when you fail to threaten them, you have to pull out your gun and say, I really mean it.
Right. Yeah.
And then you start blasting.
While parlaying with an enemy. That's... So not all parlaying is parlaying with an enemy.
No,
right?
That's true. Yep.
Like, and it's weird to me because I don't think I've not seen like that phrase be defined.
I think they just mean like because there are ally assets that you can parlay with when you don't control them. It's usually to control them.
Yeah,
that's not parlaying with an enemy. Most of the other parlaying would be with an enemy.
I guess does every parlay card require there to be sort of something else that's alive at your location? I guess it must.
I think normally, yes, but again, we haven't read the rest of these cards in this pack, so
yeah. Like I'm trying to think, is there anything that's a parlay that is not necessarily?
It wouldn't make sense.
I guess
It usually is like you're trying to fool a humanoid or any kind of enemy at your at your location.
So I guess fake credentials, our preview card, and the next one we'll look at, for example, that just says choose an enemy at your location and exhaust it. Parlay, and like choose an enemy at your location as part of the cost of its ability. Mm-hmm. So I guess that is what parlaying with an enemy is. Yeah. Even though it doesn't say here parlay with that enemy, right? But I guess that's the intent here.
That is the intent.
Anyway, I do think this is cool.
Put into play is not paying its costs.
Yeah, I mean, I think for 3 costs, this looks pretty bad. So I think you would want to get it free most of the time.
Really? Right? You think it's that bad?
3 ammo, no skill boost, although it's a skill swap.
It's a skill swap.
No skill boost, and the attack deals +1 damage. That's it.
I feel like a lot of rogue firearms require you to boost up your combat so much because they're usually not that good at combat. So I feel like this is a great gun for anyone who has a 1 or 2 and a 4 or 5 in the respective skills.
Yeah, that's true. It has a place, but still, for just 3 ammo, an extra 1 damage, it feels expensive, but I do think that if you are playing Alessandra, I mean, maybe Fine Clothes makes it so you never fail a parlay, but if you do, this gun for free is a pretty cool upside.
Yeah, I guess, would you ever run this in a deck that had no parlay cards? Probably not.
No, never. Probably. See, that's kind of what I'm saying.
I've come around.
And as a result, I think it's only an Alessandra card, right? Because who else is playing a lot of parlay cards?
My point of talking about the rogue cards is going to be, let's not forget Trish, because I think she has a unique place in the parlay as the spy.
Okay, yeah.
So I think let's not forget Trish. She has a 2 combat with 4 agility. The Bulldog would be good for her if she's running some parlay.
Right, okay. Fake credentials, we'll go quick because we did preview this, but it is an asset that's a hand slot, an item, and illicit. As an action, you choose an enemy at your location and exhaust it to parlay. Test intellect 1, but the test gets +1 difficulty for each suspicion on fake credentials. Mm-hmm. If you succeed, I remember noticing this when I was editing our preview video, succeed is misspelled here. If you sucked,
You're right.
Yep. If you sucked, discover one clue at your location and place one resource on fake credentials as suspicion. If you fail, you must either discard fake credentials or the chosen enemy attacks you.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And they just did a new taboo FIQ that tabooed or rewrote some of the misspellings and things, but this I don't think was caught.
Oh, did it? I didn't pay attention to little things like misspellings in the FAQ update.
Yeah, I think I looked at all the red, and there was a couple like, oh, this is the intent was this or whatever. But I don't think this one was
funny.
caught.
Yeah, maybe we're the only ones in the world who have spotted this. But I noticed
if you sucked.
Yeah, I noticed it when I was editing the preview video. Not even when we were recording the preview video. So I think that this card is probably not great, but is a cool design. The way using putting tokens on it to gradually increase like
the suspicion.
Like both the flavor of it as enemies are like catching on to you is cool, and it's just a different way of rather than uses that run out. Like it just gets harder and harder and harder to use. I think it's a cool design.
Do you think it's worth a hand slot?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
No, taking up a hand slot for a
clue gatherer,
an essentially limited use clue gathering item that only works if there's an enemy at your location,
and only gets one clue, right? It's not 2 clues.
Yep.
I feel like I'm missing something.
No, it's bad.
It's real bad.
The only saving grace here is that it can be the Alessandra's bonus action. I can't think of any other reason this exists.
Okay, so when you guys previewed it, my first thought was Trish on this card, and I still think it's pretty bad for Trish.
Yep.
But it is slightly better only because Trish's ability does synergize with this very well.
She does want to specifically be at locations with clues and enemies, which is the intersection of this.
And ideally, if she can gather clues without provoking attacks, she can exhaust enemies.
Right.
So this could be gain a clue and exhaust an enemy for parlay action. Still bad.
Yeah, maybe it's just it's 3 cost a hand slot.
Yeah, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
And like, how many times are you gonna pull it off? Maybe 3. Best case scenario.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Like Trish, does she have 5 intellect?
4.
Okay. I mean, if she has
magnifying
glass in her other hand,
it wouldn't synergize. Magnifying glass is only during investigations.
Oh, this is not an investigation.
It's not an investigation. That's why I was like, is it good? It doesn't feel very good.
It goes with fine clothes. That's about it. That's gonna be the case with all these cards because I think they're probably balanced around fine clothes. Yep.
Yeah, I wish they just tabooed it and like made it gone.
Yeah,
or at least make it like 3 or 4 cost or like experience.
I would have been fine with it being on the what's the thing that is completely banned that Double or Nothing is on? That part of the list.
It's forbidden. I think
forbidden.
It's called.
I'd be fine if they forbade it.
Me too.
The taboo list is still optional, so if people really want to play Broken Alessandra, they'd be welcome to. But it would mean they didn't have to balance around it.
Yeah, it feels balanced.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the mask.
All right, the Fox Mask. Is this my read?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. The subtitle is The Wise Trickster.
That's cool.
Great. Their mask slot. There totally is gonna be, huh?
Yep.
1 cost asset, intellect and agility icons, item, charm, and mask traded. Limit 1 mask per investigator. We did it.
Mm-hmm.
Uses 2 offerings. Replenish 1 of these offerings after you move out of a location with an enemy. Interesting. As a free trigger action, a lightning bolt action, spend 1 offering. You get +2 intellect or +2 agility for this skill test.
Yeah, so it's a talent. It looks like an item, but it's a talent.
This feels really good.
Yeah, so my understanding from previews is there's a mask in each class.
Nice.
And they all do this. They're all a replenishing skill boost, but rather than like replenishing each turn or something, they replenish when you do something, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, this is great.
I think these cards are very, very good, and I also think they're cool. Like, I've kind of always wished that the game had a little bit more of, permanents that give a guardian an extra experience point if they kill at least 5 enemies, and like more almost like just little mini side quest type stuff.
Yeah.
And this is kind of gives me that.
Yeah. No, this is great. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what's happening here because the flavor is not really landing. It's like
Yeah.
because your eyes are obstructed by this mask, you can see even more clues. You narrow your vision into.
Yeah, you might need to just not overthink it. That's a good point. And I think then the masks, I think, like flavor-wise, they tie into the Hemlock Vale campaign. There's sort of like a masquerade festival happening on this island. And I'm kind of surprised because this is a player card that ties into the campaign, much in the way that the tarot cards did in the Circle Undone. I'm surprised that this isn't a new slot so that they can have a basic weakness that uses that slot. And all that stuff.
Although, is it a new slot? Because now I'm just remembering that we had the Masquerade in Italy, one of the very first standalone. And I think Bauta is like the combat one, and for whatever reason, I'm seeing the card as limit one mask per investigator.
That's interesting.
On the card.
I'm not sure that there were any.
Right.
I don't know if they would need it because there was no way for the same person to get more than one. I think coming out of that.
Yeah,
but,
I think you're right.
You're right. Yeah, assuming those are mask shaded, they are mutually exclusive with the Fox mask.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll have to double check that after.
But yeah, it's because it's a basic effect. The skill boosts. Like, I guess I don't have a whole lot to say about like what you'd use this for or anything. I just think it's excellent.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, even with just the 2 uses on 1 cost for an asset that's not really taking up a competitive slot is amazing.
Yep.
It's so good, and it can potentially be replenished. Good card. We found one.
Yeah, we sure did. And it's the first card out of the, I don't know, at least half a dozen that we've read so far that has nothing to do with Parlay, which is refreshing.
Yeah. We did it.
And this one doesn't either. The Scrimshaw Charm from Distant Shores. It's a 1-cost asset. This is accessory slotted. And it's an item, a charm, and cursed. And speaking of curses, another thing we haven't talked about is that Curse and Bless is back.
Yes. That's exciting.
Which is exciting. Yes,
Love
I love the Intimate cycle. I consider my favorite cycle because of Curses and Blesses. Even though Dream Eaters is the one with most of the bonded cards, which is my favorite mechanic, I still think I've had the most fun with kind of the cohesive, like, new deck archetype and stuff that Curse and Bless added.
Yes. Totally changes the campaign. Like, my friend and I started a Curse Bless campaign, and, like, the fact that is a thing.
Yep.
Is great.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see, I'm hoping that it gets approached in some new ways, rather than just being more cards that feel like they could have gone into the Intimate cycle.
I hope so.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So anyway, where was I? I think I was at the text of Scrimshaw Charm. As an action, add 1 to 3 curse tokens to the Chaos Bag and exhaust Scrimshaw Charm to gain 1 resource. For each token added, gain an additional resource. Wow! Let faith oust fact, let fancy oust memory. I look deep down and do believe. And that's from Moby Dick.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so
I think this is amazing.
This seems great.
I think it's probably not great if you don't want curses in the bag. But since there are so many payoffs already in Arkham, and surely more in this box for things that reward you for having curses in the bag or drawing curses, each action you can add 3 curses to the bag and gain 4 resources. This is nuts.
This seems like I know we're adding bad tokens to the bag, but man, this seems so good.
Seems really good.
I mean, like, obviously you need to draw the analogous comparison, which is Faustian Bargain. For 2 curses, you gain 5, but that's a 1-time per card. This is play it once, use it as many times as you want.
It is, although you can't, one of the powerful things about Faustian Bargain is that you can distribute those resources among other players.
That's true.
This doesn't have that, but otherwise, yeah, it's kind of like a repeatable Faustian Bargain.
Yeah, a little bit less powerful, but like still very good.
Very good. Yeah, and if you are trying to kind of just keep the bag maxed at 10 curses, this just guarantees you can do it with 1 card and gain resources while you do.
Yeah, it's so good. This is so good. And honestly, for just once you get it out, even if you don't really want the curses, like you're like, we're really getting bogged by curses.
Yeah.
Adding 1 curse for 2 resources feels like a fine trade.
I'm curious, this is the first Curse Bless card that we've seen since we're starting with Rogue here recording these reviews. If this was the first curse card you had ever seen, would you think it was good? If you had no idea that it was often a good thing to draw curses out of the bag because of
but
in a vacuum it's not good.
We didn't think Faustian Bargain was that good when we first saw it. You're like, oh god, like it's only a little bit better than Emergency Cash, but it's 2 nasty curses.
Now I'm curious to go back and watch my review of that. I kind of think I was always into it. I think I was always of the point of view, even when curses were new and the Innsmouth cycle was new, so we didn't have all of the higher level cards that kind of have the payoffs for curses and blesses. I always kind of thought curses didn't seem that bad, like a one-off -2.
Yeah,
that the game might end
but
without you drawing.
I think it's generally thought of that curses are worse than blesses are good.
Correct.
Yeah,
Agree with
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
But because they're not that bad still, that's still why I think I will defend this to the death. I think Tempt Fate is one of the best cards in the game. Because it thins your deck, right? Like you can run a 28 card deck because it replaces itself for no cost.
And if it has like it's a slightly bad because it adds more, equal number of curses and blesses, and curses are worse than blesses are good. But if anything in anyone's deck cares about curses and blesses, it's an incredible card.
Agreed.
It's like really great.
Yep. It's always people's like 31st card though. It's always something they cut as they're like, I just gotta, but they're wrong to do it. It's it's so good.
But sometimes you just want to play fun cards. You don't want to play good cards.
Robbing a bank sounds fun too.
It sure does. It's me. So 2 cost event, the bank job. It is Gambit, double, and illicit traded. Have we seen a double traded?
It's usually on actions or on cards that cost 2 actions, I think.
Oh, well, let's find out. As an additional cost to play bank job, spend an action. There you go. Investigators at your location gain a total of 8 resources distributed as you wish. Oh my god. That's absurd. And then
it's really good.
No names, skids. Sorry, Finn.
I think it's like no name skids. Yeah.
Sorry, Finn. Interesting.
That's cool. Is that skids?
I was going to say, is that
skids and Finn in the art? If so, that's cool. You don't see very many. You don't see very much art with crossover of multiple investigators.
Yeah,
because they're always kind of. It's not like they're all pals. Right?
No,
like
yeah,
they're all kind of on their own journeys. But
apparently, I mean, yeah, the criminal world in Arkham is probably pretty tight knit.
yeah. I'm sure Alessandro knows them too. Yeah. This is cool. I think it's probably I was gonna say it's not as good as Stand Together. Which doesn't cost 2 actions, which even the level 0 Stand Together is 0 cost and grants 4 resources, right? Spread out between 2 people. But this works in single player, right?
Yeah.
and doesn't require you to be standing at the same place as another player, which can be a downside to Stand Together if you drop mid-game and you've spread out, right?
Well, no, it's investigators at your location.
This works no matter what. Stand Together requires another investigator to be your location.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
That's an upside to this.
Yeah, this seems good to me.
It's pretty solid.
Mostly because Stand Together's biggest weakness is oftentimes there's an investigator who's like, I'll take the resources, but I don't need them, and one is like, I need them so bad. So being able to distribute as you wish is a nice effect.
I guess I will say I think it's incredible in your opening hand. So just your setup kind of round that everyone's just kind of playing their cards, so you can hand out the resources everyone needs.
Yep.
Later in the game, actually, maybe I'm kind of cold on it. Like, later in the game, you've got your Scrimshaw charm in play, and you can spend these 2 actions just getting 8 resources that way. Right?
I don't know if that's the argument I'd make, but I think actions become far more valuable later in the game.
Spending,
I
spending
agree.
2 for an
resource
econ card is tough later. So, I don't know. It's going to take some playing with this to see how I really feel about it.
Definitely.
Next up is False Surrender. It's a 1-cost event that is a tactic and a trick. We're back to Parlay. Choose an enemy at your location and play a weapon asset from your hand, reducing its cost by 1. You may then take a fight action with that weapon against the chosen enemy, using agility instead of the skill indicated. You'd have made a pretty good cowboy.
It's a quick draw.
This art's pretty incredible. With this person with their hands up reaching for a gun taped to their back.
Yeah, no, that's incredible.
Okay, so choose an enemy at your location. Play a weapon asset from your hand for 1 cheaper. Then fight with it using agility.
Is it? You have to do that, huh?
You may then take a fight.
But you have to use agility. Notably.
Yeah, I guess so. If you take the fight action, you have to use agility.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think this is a good card on its own outside Parlay because it's kind of giving you that same effect of having a fast card in your hand because you're not provoking. That means you can hold your resources for things you really need. Although it is, 1 resource extra to play this weapon then.
Well, it's
But
one,
it's a
but
play and fight.
it's well, and the text reduces the cost by 1, so it's a break even on the cost.
Oh, yeah, I missed that. Thank you.
It's actually kind of a weird. Why doesn't this cost just cost 0 then, or this card just cost 0 then, rather than costing 1 and reducing the cost of the weapon by 1?
I guess in a very, very niche case where the weapon costs 0, it still costs you to do this.
I'm not aware of any 0 cost weapons.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. Yeah, the only one I can think of that's cheap is like Switchblade for 1, but it's still 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that's okay. I was picturing guns, maybe because of the art, but this is any weapon, so it could
be
pull
a
out your
melee weapon.
Cyclopean hammer.
That's taped to your back. So when it says take a fight action with that weapon, if it's the sledgehammer that potentially takes 3 actions, can you use that as a just no extra cost because it's taking a fight action? It's not paying for the action.
Oh, that's interesting. You may then take a fight action. No, I think this is granting you 1 action that can only be used to fight with that weapon. I think is how to think of it. So I think if it costs multiple actions, you have to spend those additional.
Oh,
yeah,
that's all right.
That's how I would interpret this. Because you could interpret this to say, as part of the parlay, so without provoking an attack or anything, you can then spend an action to fight with it. But I don't think that's what this means. I think that this is granting you an action that can only be used to fight with that weapon against the enemy you parlayed.
Okay, yeah, I think I agree. Notably, there's no test to parlay this. I feel like that would be the one thing that would be maybe not great about this, but right. I think this is a good card. I think this is a good card in the right rogue or fighter that cares about it and has good agility.
Yeah, agreed.
Right.
What's up next?
A classic rogue idea is grifting. So this grift event.
I'm kind of surprised it's taken 9 cycles to get a card called grift.
I know, it's so good. It's a 0 cost event. Grift is trick and illicit traded. It's a parlay. Who knew? Choose an enemy at your location and test agility 0. For each point you succeed by, gain 1 resource to a maximum of 6. If you fail, the enemy attacks you. Look, a dumb bird. I don't see a bird. I do.
As he pickpockets her.
Pickpockets her. That's fantastic. This seems good.
I'd rather just play Falchion Bargain.
I mean, I agree. But
right, like this, you're only gonna get 6 if you're running Fine. Well, no, Fine Clothes doesn't combo with this.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I guess that's a weird way to design cards around Fine Clothes, is to make the skill test 0 difficulty. I mean, that is one way to do it. All right.
Yep, they did it. And it says if you fail, that enemy attacks you. The only way to fail this is pulling the tentacle, the auto fail token.
Right.
Because it's a 0 test.
True. Yeah, you can't.
So that's not a big risk here.
Yeah, you also could just get 0 resources from it. Which is a real bad outcome.
Minus, a million.
to have spent an action and a card to accomplish nothing.
Yeah. Good in Alessandra.
Maybe. I'm not even convinced of that.
Really?
I think...
As a parlay? It's a free action again.
She'll have plenty of other things to use her bonus action on each turn. I think she would rather play Emergency Cash than this. I think that's true of everyone else, too.
Yeah, probably.
Right? Like, the upside...
I think she takes this. I don't think anyone else does.
This is an emergency cash with a variable amount of resources, so you can't play it with certainty that you'll get what you need to play the next card you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And the possibility that you just get attacked. No, I think emergency cash is better than this.
Yeah, I think with a bonus action, or for a bonus action, you might play this, but basically anyone else doesn't play this.
If you've got 2 emergency cashes, 2 Falchion Bargains, 2 Scrimshaw Charms, and 2 Bank Jobs in your deck, and you need 2 more econ events,
that's when you put in
That's when you put in Grift.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sold on that.
Okay, on theme for Decats, right, is the event I'll Pay You Back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 0 cost fast event that is a gambit, a trick, and can only be played during your turn. Choose another investigator at your location. Move all resources from that investigator's resource pool to your resource pool. At the end of the round, move all resources from yours to that investigator's. Whoa.
This is fast and 0 cost? This seems great.
Yeah, I mean, I think mostly this is
This is
used
you
to
give
unload your
yeah,
money to someone else.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, the flavor of it is like, oh, I need that money to, like, you could use it to take all the resources and play Leo DeLuca, right? So you have nothing to give back.
Yeah.
But no, I think that you put this in your deck when you're playing Big Money Preston or something and want
You want to offload some
want,
money to people.
and then tell the other players like, yeah, put those 6 cost cards in your deck, right? I'll get you
I'll
the
bankroll
resources.
you.
Yeah, between Bank Job and this, like, that is, yeah. I mean, that's a little bit of a theme we're seeing in these cards, is being able to get money
Co-op money
to the other players, which I like.
Yeah.
I like the more interactive multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, especially in a big money rogue. This seems great.
Yeah, I don't actually know if I would agree that this is a very good card, but I think it's a fun card.
It's 0 cost and fast, so it's like not other than the card's material itself, like the card that you drew. That's all it's costing you.
Yeah, but it's leaving you broke.
Yeah, you're a rogue. You'll get it back. You'll hit that whatever the charm was that adds curses a few times.
True. Yeah, you could play this, gain 12 resources from Scrimshaw Charm, and all in one turn give those 12 resources to another player.
There you go.
This seems pretty good.
This seems great. Honestly, I feel like in general, like being able to co-op with people who can't get money is a real issue in Arkham, where you have a broken guardian who just needs to play more shit and can't.
And one of the reasons I love Curse Bless is that it is a cooperative deck building mechanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It encourages you to coordinate with your team and
what are you running?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And this does something similar in that way. So I like it.
Absolutely.
All right, mix it up with the next one.
All right. Stir the Pot is a 3-cost event. It is Trick and Gambit traded, and it is again a parlay event. 3-cost parlay. Better be good.
Yeah.
Choose an enemy at your location and test Intellect X, where X is the chosen enemy's combined damage and horror values. Okay, so probably 2-3.
Yeah.
At worst. If you succeed, deal 2 damage to each enemy at your location. If you succeed by 2 or more, after this effect resolves, you may disengage from each enemy and move to a connecting location. Flavors: he did say something about your hair. I love the idea of stirring the pot.
Yeah.
And I think the idea is generally the enemies are fighting each other here.
Yeah, I have some comments about the flavor of parlay that I'll save for the end, but this is, I mean, that I have not played as much Arkham in the last year as I had in some past years, so maybe that's why I'm struggling with some card names. So what's the Mystic Spell event that like does 2 or 3 damage to all enemies? Like, this reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's oh no, I just played this the other day. I should know the name. Come back to me. I'll think of it. But yes, it's a mystic big sword. Storm of Spirits.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, so it reminds me of that, and that card's playable. Like, that card's good.
Yep.
So maybe this is 2. It's a lot of words for what it does, like, which always kind of irritates me. You're having to test intellect, like, it's just like super unintuitive. It's like you have to test intellect in order to do this damage, and then you have to go against an enemy's combined 2 numbers and all of this. Sometimes I just don't put a card in my deck because I don't feel like dealing with it, and this might be one of those.
So I think if we're gonna draw the comparison to Storm of Spirits, which I think is fair, I think you can often find maybe a 1 to be testing against in this. Like, where someone is dealing 1 damage or 1 horror.
Yeah.
If there's multiple enemies at a location, that's kind of when you would play this, right? If there's 2 or more, 3 or more enemies at a location, you might try to stir the pot, get them to fight each other. That's
the big downside of this card, right? Is that it's a pretty dead card if you don't have a multi-enemy situation, which doesn't necessarily even happen every game.
Yeah, I feel like this is a one of only if you are a flexible fighter.
Yeah, this is maybe even a card when you're replaying a campaign you've become familiar with to adaptable in and out of your deck, like depending on the scenario.
Yeah,
you're right. If you or like. This is great in Dream Eaters, right? It will hit every enemy in a swarm, you know? So that it has its place, but yeah, it's kind of niche. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have yet another rogue event. So there's a lot of them here. Vamp, a 1-cost trick event. It says parlay. Choose an enemy at your location and test any skill 3. If you succeed and you tested willpower, remove a doom from that enemy. Intellect, discover a clue at your location. Agility, automatically evade that enemy. If it's non-elite, move it to a connecting location. Or combat, deal 2 damage to that enemy. I think the design is cool on its face, because we've seen test any skill and it's always kind of felt weird. Like, why is it test any skill?
Yeah.
This one
Makes sense.
kind of answers that question. Why is it any skill? It's because the spirit of what you're trying to do is a little different, and the outcome will be a little different. That said, I think you generally have one best stat, and you'll put this into your deck intending to always test that one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe two, right? There's
Maybe two,
potentially two stats you could...
And, I mean, if you're wearing, I hate to say it, but if you're wearing fine clothes, then this is test any skill 1, so maybe at that point it becomes flexible enough that you really could choose whatever skill gives you what you need in that moment.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting card, for sure.
Yeah, the flexibility of it is intriguing. I feel like this might be another one where you adaptable in and out, because the willpower one is the one that's sticking with me for whatever reason more than anything else.
Remove a doom?
Yeah, remove a doom. For whatever reason, I'm thinking like Brotherhood cultists in the Forgotten Age, where like they scale up doom and they get more powerful with doom.
Yeah, that's true.
This one could be really powerful with that. There's also
running a card, just like playing a card and taking an action just to remove one doom from an enemy doesn't feel great.
Yeah,
because killing that enemy is just usually the better way to do that, unless it's the really rare situation where doom on enemies goes the agenda, that kind of thing. But that's only in 1 or 2 scenarios.
Yeah, it's really niche. I'm thinking maybe combos with String of Curses, which is adding doom to enemies to evade them for free. I don't know.
It's a card that reads flexible, and the more I think about it, the more niche it feels. It's a weird one.
Honestly, I feel like the combat is probably the best use of this card.
Probably.
2 damage to an enemy for no test other than the parlay test, which hopefully you'll be able to crush.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good.
Yeah. And then again, this can be Alessandra's bonus action, so it might just be an Alessandra card.
It could.
Yeah.
But also, like, I'm thinking, like, really high, like, late campaign enemies that can have 5, maybe 6 combat value. You're testing against a 3 to do 2 damage.
Yeah, it's not technically testless damage, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it feels that.
It's damage that has a test involved, but it ignores the enemy.
Yeah.
And how hard it is to like normally fight the enemy.
True, yeah. Like, doesn't spend ammo, doesn't retaliate if you miss, like all these positives.
Yeah, that's all cool.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. We're to the skills.
We've made it. Diabolical Luck is a skill card for a row with 1 wild icon, Fortune and Cursed traded. When you reveal a curse token from a skill test you're performing, you may commit Diabolical Luck to that skill test from your hand. If you do, Diabolical Luck gains 3 wild icons.
Gains 3, so it has 4 total.
Whoa.
Shogots. Why did
I read that whole thing again? No, Shogots. Why did that be Shogots? That's amazing.
That's pretty good. With a clear Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably Monterey Jack, but Monterey Jack is an Indiana Jones ripoff, so...
Literally cheesy Indiana Jones. Yeah.
I think this card's incredible.
Yeah, it seems really good.
Like,
It's it's a reaction.
If this was put it into the test and then, it cancels curses or something, like basically, if it was curse mitigation that you have to proactively put in, it would be bad. Because any skill that kind of requires you to
know what you're drawing is hard.
is pretty bad. But this that sits in your hand until the moment that you not only draw a curse, but feel like, oh, this is an important test and we need to make sure we pass it, then you put it in, seems great. I think this goes into any deck that can take it that is messing with curses.
I don't know if this is gonna stay level 0, Brandon.
You think it's gonna be tabooed?
I think it needs a 1 experience point. I think this is too powerful for a level 0. This is a reactive against curse, which is meant to be a bad thing that's happening to you out of nowhere. This is giving you a reactive +2 to that, as long as there's nothing else that's bonusing curses.
I guess in its defense, as far like defending its balance, I don't think that this is as strong a card as Promise of Power, which just lets you get 4 at will and add a curse to the bag. Right? Is that Promise of Power? The Mystic skill.
Yeah.
I think that that's incredible. That card is one of the best cards in the game.
Yeah, it's great.
And I don't think this is as good as that. It's different, right? It's not apples to apples.
Yeah, it's very different.
This is almost like this could also have been a zero-cost fast event that you play in this instance, right? Like, it's almost not a skill card in its function.
No, I agree.
So it's hard to compare. But
if it was zero cost fast card that said, if you draw a curse during this test, play, and you get +4 skill value, that's an incredible card. Yeah. It is such a good card. I don't think anyone sleeps on this if they're taking curses.
I mean, I think this is a top 10% card. But given that only the top 1% gets tabooed, because there's a dozen cards on the taboo list, I don't think that it rises to that level on its face for me. Maybe
we'll see. The history will tell.
All right, the other level 0 skill is light-footed. It is practiced and a trick. It just has an agility icon and says, if the skill test is successful during an evasion attempt, you may automatically evade another enemy at your location. There's a quote from Rita Young in the Investigator's Arkham horror book, it looks like. I never ran from anything like that devil tonight, though. Hope I never have to again. If this is so, you can evade something and automatically evade a second enemy.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember. I think it's Survival Instinct is the most analogous card to that already exists of this. Survival Instinct is a card that is level 0 or level 2. At level 0, when you successfully evade an enemy, you can disengage from every other and move to a connecting location. At level 2, it's evade every other enemy and move to a connecting location. So it's similar in that same vein. I think this is maybe a little worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's very good.
It's just a second evade. It's so circumstantial when you're evading.
Yeah, and like Rita can play this because it's a trick, right? And so it feels like it's the quote in the art is apt because I think it's probably a Rita card because she does damage by evading and everything. Yep. There are not very many investigators or deck archetypes that are like, I'm evading a
lot of enemies. Yeah.
And because you need to be really setting out to evade a lot for the situation of you're evading an enemy and there's multiple enemies at your location to like align.
Yeah, I think unfortunately what will happen with this card in 9 out of 10 circumstances is it sits in your hand waiting for the opportunity to play it.
Yeah. Or really, if you're good at card games, you should not be too precious about waiting for that opportunity and spend it whenever you want an agility icon.
Yeah, but then it's a 1 agility card.
I know, I'm not saying it's a good card. Just saying that if it's in your hand, you should not be sitting on it and waiting. You should it should be a 1 agility skill card with the upside of sometimes it has this text. Because it doesn't require an evasion test, right?
It doesn't.
Play.
It says if it's successful.
That said, a card that most of the time is just a 1 icon skill card, you would not put in your deck. So I don't think I would put this in my deck.
Yeah, I think it's one of those cards that is a good design in theory, because there are moments in the game when you're like, shoot, I have 2 or 3 enemies on me. I'm basically locked down by just evading over and over.
Yeah.
Where this gets you out of that jam, but I just don't think it's. If you're in that jam, you're bad.
Yeah.
you're in bad shape, rather.
All right. Looks like there's no level 1 cards in this in Rogue in this box.
Yeah.
Tell us about the next one.
British Bulldog is a familiar card that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
It's a 2 experience version, still 3 cost. Item, weapon, fire alarm, illicit fire alarm.
You did it again.
It's amazing. It's what it says. I don't know. Firearm and illicit traded. Uses 3 ammo. Spend 1 ammo as an action to fight using agility instead of combat. Again, I may use agility. For this attack, you get +2 skill value, and it does +1 damage and ignores the aloof keyword for the attack. All right, now we're talking. Now this is getting like a better gun. And a similar reaction after you fail a skill test while parlaying with an enemy, put it into play from your hand. Again, put it into play is saving you $3. I think that's the strongest part of this card.
Yeah, I think this card's all right. I thought the last one was pretty mediocre. I don't think I would feel good about putting the level 0 into my deck and then upgrading into this. I think I would just get this version when I have 2 XP. But once you're switching to your preferred skill and adding +2 skill value,
and ignoring aloof is a nice niche effect.
Yeah, a little weird. Like, why is that here? I don't know.
I don't know. How does that? Maybe because the idea
this is the one gun that you can shoot friendly people with.
It's not friendly. It's just people who are a little dodgy. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I think the idea why they even put that keyword in is because it's kind of like a catch you by surprise. Like, maybe you looked friendly and
Right.
you walked up to them and then you were talking to them and you pulled it on them.
Yeah.
Shoot them quick.
And maybe it's in play because you just failed parlaying with that character. Right? Because a lot of the time aloof enemies are you parlay with them.
Yeah, that's true.
That said, a lot of the time when you fail to parlay with an aloof enemy, they attack you. So then the ignoring the aloof keyword doesn't matter. I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. I think it's good. I think it's better than the level 0 version.
Yeah, it should be. It's level 2.
Yep. Level 2 event Snitch is next. It is 1 cost. It's a favor and a trick. It's fast, but play after you succeed at a skill test while parlaying. Discover 2 total clues from among your location and connecting locations. Seems good. It's really straightforward and kind of boring. Oh, I forgot the flavor text. I shouldn't be telling you this, but since you seem trustworthy... Snitching. Okay. So this is actually... You're not snitching. You are being snitched to when you play this card, right? Because you're learning. You're getting clues.
Oh, that's interesting. You do seem good. I'll tell you all I know.
Yeah.
Interesting. So... It's very niche because it needs to be a heavy parlay deck.
Yeah, I think it's like the majority of these cards that mention parlay. It's just an Alessandra card, but I think it's a good one. Yeah, I think it's one she would really be likely to spend her experience on.
Yeah, no, this seems very powerful. It's free clues for 1 cost to experience.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the same. It's not as narrow as like Fake Credentials, which requires that there be an enemy and clues at your location, because this can get clues from connecting locations, so it's more flexible.
Exactly.
And then it's just fast. There's no extra actions involved. Just the 1 cost in a card. Yeah, I think this is great.
Really, really strong.
I think I'm reading the next one too because I have the only copy of an exceptional card.
You do.
That's in the box. Bewitching. It's a level 3 but exceptional, so 6 experience, permanent talent that is also trick traded.
I'm excited.
It has 2 reactive abilities. The first one is, before you draw your opening hand, search your deck for up to 3 different trick cards and attach them face down to Bewitching. Shuffle your deck. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh,
okay.
So it's
We've seen a handful of tricks, and tricks can be events or skills, like Light-Footed and Snitch, for example, that we just read are both tricks.
But it's what's it called? Ever Vigilant for rogues.
Ever Vigilant is the one that lets you play multiple assets in 1 action. You're thinking of...
Oh, you're right.
Something with prepare. It's not prepared for the worst.
Stick to the plan.
That's the one. Yep. It's
got it.
Yep. Okay, and then there's another, what do we do with those cards? Let's find out. When you engage an enemy, exhaust Bewitching, either draw 1 attached card or search the top 9 cards of your deck for a copy of an attached card, draw it, and shuffle your deck. Ooh.
That's spicy.
Yeah.
That's really
so
spicy.
As long as you put 2 copies of each trick in here, it's like this can get you all 6. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, searching the top 9, so you could whiff if you choose that option, but I think it's probably very good.
Very good.
6 XP is expensive.
It is, but the reliability in your opening hand and in your gameplay is so important. Rita can take this. It's a trick. It's 3 experience.
Does she go up to level 3 at least on tricks?
0 to 3, yeah.
Yep, so she probably would.
It seems great for her.
Yeah, I think this is cool. I'm having a hard time really, when you throw the trick trait back at me, being like, trying to rack my brain for what exciting tricks are there. Other than I think Snitch is very good here. I think actually the fact that Light-Footed is a bad card isn't changed by this, but Stir the Pot was a trick. I'll Pay You Back is a trick. There's a lot. Grift is a trick. Wow, actually almost everything we've looked at, False Surrender, almost everything so far in this box has been a trick.
There's a lot of Survivor and a lot of Rogue tricks that are good.
So I'll bet, even though I'm not going to sit here and give you an idea for a deck, but I'll bet you can come up with a pretty good deck that uses this.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. All right, I shall give you the next one. It is Dirty Deeds. My question is, are they done dirt cheap?
This doesn't have flavor text, or it would probably go there.
Yeah. It is a 1 cost event for 3 experience. Does have a combat, agility, and wild icons, so decent icons. Favor double. We've seen that keyword before, and illicit. As an additional cost to play Dirty Deeds, spend an action. Search your deck for an illicit asset and play it, paying its costs. Then you may resolve an action or a free action ability on that asset ignoring all costs, including its action cost, if any. Playing this card does not provoke attacks of opportunities. Wow, that's a lot to that.
So forget false surrender, putting a gun into play from your hand. This lets you put one into play from your deck.
Yeah. And, like, I'm thinking, for whatever reason, the one that's sticking to my head is the double-barreled rogue gun.
Like sawed-off shotgun, that kind of thing?
It's not sawed-off shotgun. It's the Lupara, which is a 2-bullet gun that when it comes into play...
Is that what Lupara is?
Yeah, Lupara is a 2-bullet gun, and when it comes into play, it does +2 combat and +2 damage, but then any other turn it would just do +1/+1.
Right.
So this could, trigger that, not firing its bullets, and then you could fire its bullets with the other action. So you could do, 9 damage with this double deed, or dirty deeds.
Yeah, I think this is probably pretty good. I can definitely see it in a Tony or something deck, a fighty rogue, right?
Feels expensive,
and
though, I will
this
say.
can be any illicit asset. It doesn't have to be a weapon, even though when it's like you can also use it immediately, weapon comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But there are plenty of illicit investigation themed cards, right? There must be.
Probably.
A blackmail file, which I think was a bad card, but it's illicit.
Yeah, so I'm wondering,
fake credentials, yeah.
The only issue I have with this card is that it's 2 actions, 1 cost, 3 experience, so it's pretty expensive to play and to get into your deck in the first place. And then what are you retrieving with it is really what matters.
Right.
So you have to have a great illicit asset that's probably limited on its uses, whatever they might be, ammo or supplies, whatever they might be. It feels okay. I feel like this is a combo card, and I can't think of the combo piece off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's one.
Yeah, 3 XP is steep, but yeah, there are definitely times where you're gonna want to do it. But it's not a new oh my god, I have to figure out how to get 3 more XP to get dirty deeds in every deck. It's not that.
No, the 2 actions is honestly the thing. I guess you get 1 back by being able to immediately trigger it.
So let's see if level 3 Vamp saves the card for us like the British Bulldog did. It's a trick. It has 2 wild icons on it, which I guess I always say that a 2 wild icon card is good and the text of that card is like a niche other use.
But at 3
experience, that does not quite carry the same weight. It says, parlay, choose an enemy at your location and any number of skills. 1 at a time in any order, test each chosen skill 2. For each test you succeeded, if it was, and it looks like these outcomes are all the same. Remove a doom for willpower, discover a clue for intellect, automatically evade and move the enemy for agility, and 2 damage for combat. But the difference is the difficulty is 2, and you may opt to do as many as you'd like. With Fine Clothes, this is incredible.
Yeah, with Fine Clothes, I was just thinking the same thing.
With Fine Clothes, this is basically...
that's not incredible, because, what if they don't have Doom?
Yeah.
What if they are, only a 2-hit point enemy?
How often do you actually want to do multiple of these things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like automatically evade and do 2 damage, sometimes, but 2 health is pretty common for non-elites.
Yeah, the damage may make the automatic evading not matter. Yeah.
Oh, I just realized something. It's in any order, right? 1 at a time in any order.
True.
So what you can do is you can use the agility one to automatically succeed, evade it, push it to a location where there are hard clues, and then discover a clue. That's a decent...
Oh, at the enemy's location. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You can move the enemy, then get the clue.
I think it's probably the same for the level 0. We just didn't grok at the time.
Well, but that one you can only do one of the things.
Oh, you're right.
That is interesting. I think this card is only interesting if you're running Fine Clothes, and then it's incredibly good. So again, or it's Fine Clothes has become mandatory with all these cards.
Yeah.
Because, getting to do 2 or 3 of these things, but you only pass 1 or 2 of them is for a 3 XP card is not very interesting. Getting to, in theory, do all this cool stuff because it's all but guaranteed that you pass. Good card.
It's one of the best toolboxy cards we've seen in the game, I will say.
Toolboxy, like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah,
flexible
exactly.
Thing.
Yeah, it's one the one that kind of comes to mind is the one that's reveal a random token. If it's a X, it's heal 2 damage, and if it's a Y, deal 2 damage kind of card.
Right.
It was one of those. I can't remember exactly which one.
Yeah. But that's a good example because it's so hard to line that up where
it matters.
You generally want to play that card whose name isn't coming to my mind either, but you generally want to play that card when both sides would be good.
Yep.
Or since I think I think what it's looking at is blesses and curses. So you also could play it if you only have one in the bag, and then you know essentially what it would do.
Yeah.
Not 100% because I think it's like draw until you hit a
7
bless or
like that.
I think it's draw until you hit a bless or elder sign is one effect, and curse or autofail is the other effect. But if you have 10 curses and no blesses in the bag, you most likely it's going to do the damage, not the heal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put that card in decks and I sit there kind of like, I'm on a team where we're doing lots of curse and bless, so this card seems cool. And then I don't play it because I don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
And this one is not. This one you know what it'll do.
Yeah.
But similarly, it's not really good unless you line up a situation where multiple of these is beneficial.
Yeah, I feel like the perfect scenario is if you're at a location with no clues with an enemy, and adjacent to you is like a 4 or 5 shroud, and the enemy's 2 health. It'd be like evade it, push it to the location, grab a clue, and kill it. Like that would be a good use for a 1 cost, 1 action.
Well, I think, like so many of these cards, I think this is only good for Alessandra because it's only good with Fine Clothes, and she's the one who will always play Fine Clothes. Yeah. It's getting kind of in the same note over and over on that. Speaking of same, what's next?
The Fake Credentials, level 4 version. I think this is 1 less. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this is 2 costs.
The cost of Fake Credentials, yes, it is 1 less than the level 0 version.
Great. It's item illicit.
I don't see much point in comparing it though, because I think the last card was so bad. Treat this like it's in a vacuum.
Okay, well, that's fair. I would kind of agree. It is again taking up a hand slot, so it's better be good for 4 XP in a hand slot.
Oh yeah.
As an action, choose an enemy at your location. Parlay, test Intellect 0. Same thing so far, or 1, I can't remember. The test, it gets +1 difficulty for each suspicion on Fake Credentials. If you succeed, discover 1 clue at your location or a connecting location. If you did not succeed by 2 or more, place 1 resource on Fake Credentials as suspicion. If you fail, return Fake Credentials to your hand. I think the other one discarded it.
No, it didn't have anything comparable.
No?
This is a good thing because it resets your suspicion.
Resets it.
Yeah, the other one didn't do anything along those lines, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. If you fail, you must either discard Fake Credentials or the chosen enemy attacks you.
Okay. I blinked on that.
This is okay.
Starting to feel decent. It's probably
still 4 XP a hand slot, and it's still just 1 clue at a time.
Yeah, it can come from a connecting location. And then it also,
I feel like this is only done in a succeed by a million deck, right? Because this is if you succeed by 2 or more every single time you do this card, so basically like lockpicks feel. It's a 0 test, you're auto-succeeding.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is like, if you did not succeed by 2 or more, it's 0, and this is even before Fine Clothes, right, that this is 0. So you might just succeed by 2 or more the first 10 times you use it.
Yeah.
And the difficulty never goes up.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big difference.
Agreed.
It feels silly, actually, to have succeed by 2 or more effect on a 0 test. Like,
I mean, kind of, but there's -4s and
and the difficulty level you're playing on. Like, I think this is a lot better at standard difficulty
easy
than
or
hard.
standard. Yeah, no, I agree.
It's fine. Is it what I want to spend 4 XP on? I don't know.
It's not flashy enough.
Yeah.
For a hand slot 4 XP, I guess it's one thing. I feel like rogues don't have hand slots that sit in play unless they're melee weapons. And
that's true. They cycle a lot more things in and out. Yeah.
So I guess this is okay for your stagnant hand if you're trying to do some passive clue getting.
Yeah. Like if I'm going to play Alessandra in a campaign because she's the new investigator and I want to play a bunch of new cards, I'll end up playing this.
Yeah.
I might not be glad I did though.
I think that's probably the place you're gonna be.
Yeah.
It doesn't exhaust though. That's good. So you could do it multiple times per turn.
Yeah.
That's another good thing.
Yes. Okay. Oh, that's right. I see. So the original one did exhaust.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think the original one is unplayable.
The level 0 Fake Credentials should not
unplayable.
go in your deck.
No.
Yeah. Even probably Alessandra.
Mm-hmm.
All right, stir the pot. We're back. So I think it was just about every leveled up card here was a higher level version of one of the same cards in this box.
Almost,
No, I guess not all of them. Yeah, Dirty Deeds, Snitch were different. Okay, but we got one more. Level 5, Stir the Pot. A level 5 event is something that in practice I almost never put in my deck.
Almost never.
So
Yeah,
this is
it's gotta be unbelievable. We gotta be like, this is no doubt the best card in the game.
I'm going to skip ahead to the bottom because I just noticed the flavor text is different from the lower level version. I love when they do that. It says, and I heard he called you stupid too.
Well, what is the whole sentence then?
I think he insulted your hair, something about their hair. Yeah, he did say something about your hair. And I heard he called you stupid too. Yeah.
That's great.
Yep, love that. That's
Love
a nice
that.
touch.
That's
As I throw my cards all over the place. Okay. So it is a 3-cost trick and gambit. It says parlay. Choose an enemy or location and test intellect X, where X is the chosen enemy's combined damage and horror values. If you succeed, deal X damage to each enemy or location. So damage equal to that combined damage horror value. After this effect resolves, you may disengage from each enemy and move to a connecting location.
It's crap. Don't play it.
Yeah, sorry. What was the original one again?
The original one was test against the X value and then do 2 to everyone.
And
so
if you succeed by 2 or more, then you can disengage and move.
This is so not worth 5 experience. This
Yeah,
is
why?
maybe worse than the level 0 based on the fact
Because
that
the difficulty scale?
the difficulty scales with the amount of damage you can do.
Oh, so you can't choose 1 difficulty and 2 damage.
and then 2 damage. Like,
so the difference between a 1 difficulty test and a 2 difficulty test is fairly negligible. But
I know, but like, what are you gonna go run into a 4, like a 2 and 2 elite enemy?
The upside of you get to choose the highest damage horror enemy at your location and deal that much damage.
It's crap.
This is crap. I was just saying this has to be better than almost any other 5-cost event or level 5 event we've seen, and I think it's worse than most of them.
Yep, it's crap. Don't play it.
Huh.
I'm moving on.
This is wild.
That's real bad.
This is the strangest card I've seen yet. Just because why?
It should at least have a plus. Like, the only thing that it wouldn't save it, but at least give us the same ratio that we can get at level 0, right? At least give us a 1 to 2 ratio. Yeah. So at least give us like +1, so that if it's a 0, one damage dealer, you can still get the 2 damage out.
I think that this just needs to, and maybe the flavor wouldn't make sense. For this to be good at level 5, it would just need to defeat all non-elite enemies.
Yeah, 100%.
It
should do defeat all and do 3 damage to elites or something like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's crap. It's crap.
Wow.
I moved on.
All right.
That was so disappointing.
Yeah, so we just have a couple neutral cards to wrap up this review. But I chose these ones to throw into this video because I just glanced at them and saw they both mentioned parlay. So,
okay, I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah.
Eldritch Tongue is a 2-cost asset. I haven't read it yet, but I did see it's a arcane slot. I think this is the first.
Has there never been a neutral arcane slot?
I think there's never been a neutral arcane slot. You can call me out if I'm wrong, but
I feel like you're probably wrong, but I can't name what it is. So.
Name it. Do it.
All right, read the card.
It's a ritual traded card. Uses 4 charges. You may play events with parlay from your discard pile as if they were in your hand.
Ooh.
As an additional cost to play an event this way, spend 1 charge from Eldritch Tongue. After that event resolves, remove it from the game. This is so good.
Yeah, it seems really good, assuming you want to play events with parlay on them. I don't know that we've seen very many great ones. But...
I mean, Alessandra wants to play events with parlay on them. No, this is amazing. This is so good. Does it just have to say parlay, or does it have to be a parlay event? That's my question about this.
Events with parlay. So I guess it's like deck building rules. It just has to have the
word parlay. Yeah, I'm thinking the discovering 2 clues when you do a parlay thing. Whatever that one was.
Was that Snitch?
Yeah, I think that was Snitch.
Does that not parlay in itself?
It doesn't parlay in itself.
Why can I not find it?
I think you just passed it.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a question.
Does parlaying?
Snitch has the word parlaying on it. Is that a card with parlay? Are we looking at fractions of words to determine whether these work?
We'll have to ask Nick about this one.
That's a real.
That's a great question.
They could have just worded Snitch, play after you succeeded a skill test in a during a parlay action.
Yeah.
They could have worded it so that this was
while
clearer.
parlaying.
honestly not sure whether Eldritch Tongue is meant to let you replay Snitch.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
literally think we have to ask Nick about
That's
this.
a really
That's so funny.
strange question.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think this
is a great card for Alessandra and no one else.
Agreed. And yeah, I'm just not sure that we liked enough of the parlay events for it to even
There are other parlay events that we have so far that are okay.
That's true.
Like
yeah,
Interrogate and another one.
And I've seen enough from, I think even another one of our preview cards, the Mystic card, was a parlay. So,
okay.
Like there will be some more in this box.
More.
This is actually why I wanted to start with Rogue, was so that we would have Alessandra in our minds as we see all the other parlay cards, because I think there will be more in the box.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's hard to see this being bad, because one card that lets you essentially, it's kind of like it lets you selectively draw 4 cards.
Amazing.
Seems really good. The question is just like, will Parlay and Alessandra be any good?
Were there any resource gaining parlay events? I guess there was that one that was kind of bad, right?
The bank job is not a parlay.
Okay. That was
Grift is a parlay resource event.
But we said that was pretty bad.
I mean, once you can play it twice,
it gets better, but it still costs an action.
Anything that's just okay, but you can play it twice without the extra cost of a card, like, it's better than it was. Alright, the last neutral card is Well Dressed. This is another card that I'm surprised there hasn't been a card by that name yet. We're late. Like, this happens to me in Magic the Gathering all the time. Is like, there hasn't been a card called Jump yet. Like, you've made 25,000 cards for that game. That's not a real example. I think Jump is an old Magic card, but it happens sometimes that they come up with like a name that's just like, how is that not used yet?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a skill with 1 wild icon on it. It's practiced and fortune traded. While Well Dressed is committed to a skill test during a parlay action, it gains 3 wild icons. The fine clothes do all the talking. Boy, if that isn't on the nose.
Yeah, that's way too on the nose.
That's not funny. As someone who's been sitting here really disliking the fine clothes aspect of this whole design, I don't appreciate that you like kind of made a joke of it there.
Well, for us who aren't so bitter about it, it's fine. I don't know. Does it ever get included?
If you're building a deck so that most of your actions will be parlay actions, I think that this is a no-brainer, right? Like, it's a 4 wild icon card is very good.
It's a fine card.
Yeah, and I think it's also a good, like Fine Clothes, I think it's a good inclusion to take out later if you're playing like Carcosa and going into the Last King. Like, if you know you're playing a scenario with a lot of parlay, you could put this in your deck and then upgrade it later.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. What do you think overall?
Fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
okay, so I'll be honest. I'm excited to play Alessandra. I do think that we have slept on the parlay keyword for so long, and I want it to be fun, and I want it to be good, but it just hasn't been, so I'm excited to play a parlay deck.
See, I don't care if it's, like... I don't want parlay to be good. I don't care if it's good. Parlay just means does not take an opportunity to attack. Like, that's not some cool mechanic we gotta see more of.
Okay, well, for those of you who are just locked into the mechanic, is like the mechanism of parlay. Parlay is the charisma build of this game, which is so cool. Like, if I'm playing Fallout, if I'm playing any kind of like RPG game, I always love going high charisma. I like to be able to persuade people to do what I want them to do. This is that build. Yes, I understand that you know there are niche circumstances that you need to have the enemies at the location to actually make it worthwhile. I'm excited to see if it works.
See, that segues nicely into the point I said I would get to at the end about parlay. Is parlay used to generally require a humanoid because you were doing things that only made sense if they were a humanoid.
Yeah.
And in order to be able to print a lot more parlay cards that were playable, they threw that out this time. And now, I can use my fake ID to fool a conglomeration of spheres now. So I actually kind of think...
that's such a good point, and I hate it.
Yeah, I actually think that this set has broken the fun flavor of parlay. And there's not a good solution there, because also all the cards that required a humanoid enemy were bad because they required a humanoid enemy.
So I think...
I think the only answer here, what should have happened, was there be a new keyword or something, and then it maybe does something a little... Like, my other complaint about parlay is mechanically, it is just does not take an opportunity attack. And actually something that I had never really thought about until we saw some cards that mentioned the enemy you're parlaying with is it also kind of means requires an enemy at your location.
All right, I have a solution. All right, the designers, this is a job for you. I'm not going to do your job for you. All right, you need to go back through the sets. First of all, go to the original parlay cards, take out the humanoid enemies from them. That's step one. We just keep it all uniform.
Okay.
It just requires an enemy at your location. It doesn't need to be humanoid.
Sure. All right.
Then go through every enemy that has ever been created in Arkham Horror the card game and rate their intelligence and put that as a number.
See, yeah.
Did I just solve it?
And I mean, like, it could even,
Come on. Stay with me.
to be honest, like, yeah, that's the kind of, like, that's one great idea. I've been thinking, and as we saw the parlay previews, I was just kind of like, I want, if parlay is going to be a focus of this box, I want it to do something interesting. And parlay's, to me, never been interesting. If it was a common theme that you were, say, testing against a variable based on the horror level of the enemy. And so that kind of it's an existing stat that's like, okay, now these cards look at that as that enemy's intelligence.
Yeah.
Would maybe not flavorfully work all the time, but would at least give it a different feel.
Yeah.
And they just didn't do anything like that.
I feel like maybe if like the simple way to do it instead of going through, because I think that's really interesting. Like if they're a beast, but they can be communicated with through nonverbal, body language, whatever it might be, like, where's the clues? I don't know, tell me. Then we get into an interesting archetype that is the charisma build, that is parlaying with meaningful values. I think the quick and easy, dirty way to do it is with horror, being if they have a horror value, you can't do it to them. Meaning that they're just too scary, you're not going to try to communicate, you're just going to fight.
Sure, so kind of the opposite, yeah.
Yeah.
The one other thing that popped into my head as I was trying to think about, like, what things that are already on cards could kind of, like, suddenly represent their intelligence or something, like their quantity of traits, right? Like, generally humanoids are also, like, criminal syndicate, like, right?
Yeah.
And then also elites by default, like, there's no enemies that are elite and don't have other traits also. So elites would also be naturally harder or naturally more intelligent, whether or not that makes sense. Like, yeah, I just wish parlay was doing something different that made me look at the game in an interesting way, and that's not what we got here.
Yeah, I'm actually like now obsessed with this idea that we've come up with, and I want to force someone to implement it or implement it myself. Yeah. But I don't want to implement it myself.
Hire SFFG. We'll do it.
We'll do it. We'll go through every enemy in the game and give them intelligence.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's realistic, but I did like the like horror value or finding a way and a facet of enemies that the game doesn't usually care about to be like, all right, now that we're really making parlay kind of a thing, like we're going to use that as part of that.
I mean, I think in general, things that are giving you, insanity damage can't be reasoned with. Is the, like, it's either the raving lunatics in the asylum or they're the terrifying beasts in the game. So, like, I feel like that's an easy, quick and dirty, we can house rule it.
That's true. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I had this thought just from our preview of Fake Credentials. I was like, oh, you can fool a dog, right? Like,
it's okay. Yeah. Everything's fine.
I was like, oh, so suddenly this is just nonsense flavor. So I knew that I was going to have that criticism, and I decided to hold off until the end rather than bring it up every single card. And so this is my promise. I will not, as we see more parlay cards, I will not gripe about that for the next 4 videos. I've gotten it out of my system.
We'll see.
But I do think that that's a downer.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
But let's end this on a high note. What do we want to say?
Some of these cards are great.
Some of the cards are great.
I'm excited about the masks. We just saw the first mask we've looked at. We only saw a little bit of stuff that cares about curses here, but it definitely got me like, oh yeah, I like curses and blesses a lot. So I think that there are some very both powerful and fun-seeming one-off cards here. I think that while I will probably play Alessandra once, I think that you can kind of miss me with all this parlay stuff. I don't think I'm really sold on it at all.
I think I'm more on the parlay boat. It's definitely one of my favorite archetypes. I do agree that the intelligence or like talking to a beast and like being
Yeah.
like, it's fine, I'm authorized to be here, and he's like, cool,
And
is nonsense, but
the flow of every game where you suck until you get your fine clothes and then you're amazing, like it's gonna get old fast, I think.
yeah. We'll see how it all actually plays out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually playing this game. I feel like you and I, since I moved here almost 2 years ago, have played very little Arkham Horror.
It's true.
We should get on that.
Yeah.
In
I have some other games though. We've been playing those.
We have.
Yeah.
1 or 2 games.
Okay, so yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, that'd be great if you did. It would help us out, to help us grow, so would liking the video, and then YouTube will recommend it to you since you watched this when our next videos come out over the following weeks.
That's right.
Which class are we doing next?
I'm not going to be here, so like Guardian.
Oh yeah, you're swapping out for Steven? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think
okay.
so.
Okay.
But then the rest I'll be here, and I want to talk about the other cards.
Fair enough. All right, you're throwing Steven under the bus.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I love Guardian, and I have not.
I know, it's your favorite.
See, I don't feel like I've seen many of the Guardian cards at all.
I don't know any
I
of the
bet there's
cards
a
in this
lot.
box.
I bet there's a lot of blessing involved.
Ooh, that'll be exciting.
All right, so join us next week for the Guardian cards. Till then, be optimal.